When Jerry, our curator, first told me that I was going to get to give my talk, I thought about it for the rest of the day. I thought about it while we were at FRC. I thought about it while I was in the car going home. And I thought about it out loud when I finally got home. And I was like, why am I telling people how not to procrastinate? And then my sister just suddenly from the other side of the room pipes in with, because you're good at it. So that's my sister's reason for why I'm a qualified expert in my field, which is fear-induced procrastination. A while back, I procrastinated enough that I procrastinated by researching procrastination. I didn't want to think about a big decision that I had to make, so I fell down an internet rabbit hole and ended up reading through papers on papers about procrastination. I realized that there were many different types of procrastination. Different papers called it different things, but the type of procrastination that I was experiencing at that time was fear-induced procrastination. Fear-induced procrastination is particularly dangerous because it holds you back from taking that extra leap. It prevents you from doing things that you're scared of doing, whether you're scared of the act of doing something new or something harder, or if you're scared of failing, scared of what success might bring, or you're scared of what people might say when they think you're stepping out of line. There's this checkpoint where you decide whether or not you want to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. A couple of CAMS kids told me this year that they were interested in running for a club board position, but because they were worried and nervous, they ended up pushing it back out of their minds every time it popped up on Facebook, and they never got around to it. They just passed the deadline. For some of us, whether or not you run for a board position might be no biggie. But for others, there are different fears, different things that we do not believe that we can do that hold us back. So I've distilled how to stop fear-induced procrastination into 5 steps, and it's in that slide right behind you. So you definitely do not have to go from left to right. Different steps are going to be useful at different times. First off, you have to teach yourself to want to start. We all know that starting is usually the hardest part, but once you're on a roll, you've got this. The problem is, if you've already procrastinated up to that point, you feel disappointed and angry at yourself because you procrastinated, and you might avoid starting the work because it evokes those emotions. Instead of having a bell and food, we have to associate starting with feeling happy. Next, figure out what your distractions are. If you procrastinate enough, you'll notice that there are certain things you do on purpose to numb your brain. You might try to forget about having procrastinated and the fact that you still have things to do. You want to identify exactly what those things are and avoid them. For example, one thing I found myself using to numb my own procrastination is YouTube, specifically tasty videos. I'm sure all of you know how satisfying it is to watch them cook things with unnecessary amounts of cheese and butter, and then bite into them. It looks amazing. I mean, you guys get me. Like, it's just so, how should I say this? Oh, yes. But the thing is, you can enjoy what you want to enjoy. You can have fun watching your favorite TV shows, K-dramas, talking with your friends, being on social media, listening to great music. But especially in this day and age, don't let those things become your procrastination drug. This is the next important point. Change the conclusions you get from your excuses. The website for the Center of Clinical Interventions in Australia details this very well. They talk about well-being and specifically about procrastination. Basically, for each time you create an excuse for yourself not to finish something, you go to a conclusion why you shouldn't do that thing right now. But the thing is, for every time that happens, you can reach a different conclusion. You can reach a conclusion that says, hey, I can start on this right now. For example, maybe you don't want to do something right now because you don't feel that spark of inspiration. You don't feel ready. But the thing is, a different conclusion that you could get to is you could think, hey, maybe if I start on this, inspiration will follow. Okay, my last step. I'm making only 2 promises for this 5-step method. My first promise is that you will fail. You'll try to take a step, but you'll stumble. My second promise is that if you keep trying to stick with this method and pick yourself up after you fall, you'll be able to make not procrastinating your norm. Okay, I lied. There's more than 5 steps. But these next 2 steps are something you can do if you're feeling extra like that. So one thing you can do is work on your physical health. Get sleep, exercise, eat better. That will start a positive cycle where you feel physically better so that you can do more on that day. Then you'll get more sleep, more exercise, probably eat better. And the next day you'll have even more energy for fighting procrastination. The other thing is to have a support group. In the words of Michael Jordan, stop it. Get some help. If you're struggling, get some encouragement from your friends. If your friend is struggling, tell them about the 5-step method. This next picture is a screenshot from a time lapse that unfortunately isn't playing right now. And you can kind of see me in the back. I'm hidden by everyone who's taller than me, which is everybody. This was a time lapse of just yesterday, when some other girls and I were making packs of feminine hygiene products for homeless women in LA. We worked in unity and with zero procrastination because we had been supporting and encouraging each other through each step of this process. So, in the beginning of this video, I told you guys, I'm a qualified expert because I procrastinate. That's not entirely true. I'm giving this talk because yes, I do procrastinate. I do experience fear-induced procrastination. But I'm really up here because I always push myself to reach higher, even if it's out of my comfort zone. When I realized that so many people stop themselves from doing that, I decided I'd push myself to give you guys a talk on how you can stop that. When Jerry, our curator, first told me that I was going to get to give my TED Talk, I knew I would procrastinate. And I did. But don't be too scared of the failures that will come with trying not to procrastinate. Just get started. Don't procrastinate. Thank you.